She thought my ranch gate was her personal shortcut, and she kept driving through it like she owned the place. Every single morning, the same white SUV tearing across my private land, kicking dust over my cattle and leaving my gate swinging wide open. I warned her. I posted signs. I even locked the gate. But HOA Karen didn't care. Then one day, she smirked and said the words that changed everything. "This road belongs to the neighborhood." That was the moment I decided she'd never drive through my property again. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Never. So I built something she wasn't expecting, something that stopped her cold the very next morning. When HOA Karen showed up and saw what I'd done, she slammed on the brakes so hard her tires screamed across the dirt road. And the look on her face? Priceless. But she wasn't about to accept defeat. And what she tried next forced the police, county officials, and the HOA board into the biggest neighborhood showdown anyone had ever seen. If you enjoy crazy HOA stories where entitled neighbors get a reality check, subscribe to NeighborWars HQ and drop a comment below telling me what you would have done in this situation. Now let me tell you how one shortcut across my ranch turned into the most expensive mistake HOA Karen ever made. My family ranch sits on 15 quiet acres just outside town. My grandfather bought the land nearly 50 years ago, long before the suburban development started creeping closer. Back then it was just open fields, cattle, and a single dirt road that led to our gate. For decades, nobody bothered us. Our neighbors respected property lines, and the ranch stayed peaceful. That all changed 2 years ago when a new housing development popped up on the land bordering the north side of my property. Within months, rows of identical houses appeared, along with something far more dangerous to peace and quiet, an HOA. At first, the HOA didn't bother me. My land wasn't part of their development, and legally, they had zero authority over anything I did on my ranch. But apparently one particular resident didn't get that memo. I first noticed her when my gate started mysteriously being left open. Anyone who owns livestock knows that's a big problem. An open gate means cattle wandering off, damaged fences, and sometimes thousands of dollars in losses. The first time it happened, I assumed I'd forgotten to latch it properly. The second time, I started wondering if someone had accidentally driven through. But the third time? That's when I checked my security camera. Sure enough, the footage showed a white SUV pulling up to my gate early in the morning. A woman stepped out, glanced around, unlatched my gate, drove through, and left it wide open behind her. No hosetaschen, no epaligi, just pure entitlement. The next morning, I waited by the gate. Right on schedule, the same SUV rolled up the dusty road. The driver slowed down when she saw me standing there. She lowered the window with a slightly annoyed expression. "Can I help you?" she asked. I pointed to the gate. "Yeah, stop driving through my property." She laughed like I told a joke. "I live in the HOA neighborhood behind you," she said. "This road cuts 10 minutes off my commute." "That's great," I replied, "but still private property." Her smile disappeared. "Well, the developer told us this road existed before the houses were built," she said. "So technically it's access." I shook my head. "Not through my gate it isn't." She rolled her eyes, muttered something about stubborn landowners, and drove away. For about a week, the problem stopped. Then one morning my camera alert pinged again. There she was, driving through like nothing had happened. That's when I installed a heavy chain and lock on the gate. Problem solved, or so I thought. 2 days later, I woke up to find the chain lying on the ground, cut clean through. Now I was mad. I checked the cameras again. Sure enough, HOA Karen had pulled up, looked at the lock for about 10 seconds, and then grabbed bolt cutters from the back of her SUV. She cut the chain, opened the gate, drove through, and left it hanging. That was the moment I realized something important. This wasn't just someone taking a shortcut. This was someone who thought rules didn't apply to them. So I called the county office and confirmed exactly where my property line sat. I reviewed old survey maps from when my grandfather first bought the ranch. Everything was crystal clear. That road? It ended at my gate. Legally, nobody from that neighborhood had any right to use it, which meant I had every right to stop them. So I came up with a plan. Instead of replacing the chain, I hired a contractor. 2 days later, a truck arrived carrying pallets of concrete blocks and steel posts. By sunset, The old ranch gate was gone. In its place stood something far more permanent, a solid 8-foot concrete wall running across the entire entrance road. Right in the center, we installed a massive steel ranch gate with reinforced hinges and a keypad lock system. If you had the code, the gate opened. If you didn't, the wall made sure you weren't getting through. The next morning, I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee and waited. At exactly 7:42 a.m., the white SUV appeared at the end of the dirt road. HOA Karen slowed down as she approached, clearly confused. Then she saw the wall. Her brakes screamed as the SUV stopped 20 feet away. She sat there for a full 30 seconds staring at it. Then she got out of the car and walked toward the gate, looking furious. "What the hell is this?" she shouted when she saw me on the porch. I took another sip of coffee. "That's my new gate," I said calmly. "You can't block this road," she snapped. "Actually," I replied, "I just did." Her face turned bright red. "This road belongs to the neighborhood," she yelled. I shook my head. "Then I guess your neighborhood should have bought the land." She stormed back to her SUV and sped away. But that wasn't the end of it. 2 days later, I received a letter from the HOA demanding I remove the wall immediately, claiming it violated community access rights. There was just one small problem with their demand. My ranch wasn't part of their community, which meant their HOA rules meant absolutely nothing on my property. Still, HOA Karen wasn't ready to give up. The next move she made turned a petty shortcut dispute into a full-blown legal showdown that involved county inspectors, lawyers, and a meeting where the entire neighborhood finally learned the truth about that shortcut road. And by the time it was over, HOA Karen wasn't the one demanding access anymore. She was the one apologizing. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to NeighborWars HQ for more insane HOA battles, entitled neighbor stories, and real property disputes that ended in unforgettable revenge.